Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and today we got some long awaited for news. We got the February Road Ahead. Now, this Road Ahead will probably last us until April or May. So, this is always intended to kind of lay out what's going to be happening for the next few months. We've been waiting for this. For some people, this is, a huge sigh of relief. Oh, by the way, we've got Naboo in the background, right? We're walking through feed back in the background. But this is very exciting for a lot of people. There were some misses, I think, for some people, but we're going to go into it, right? And we're going to talk about this. So we'll quickly kind of glance over some of this to just make sure that, we kind of cover it. Tomorrow's video is going to be about the new raid. I guess spoiler alert, there's going to be a new raid. So we're going to talk about what characters we can start working on right now, I think, and be pretty safe and kind of get ready for whatever the new raid is going to be. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and do this. So this is the February 2024 Road Ahead. And then it's going to be the Star Wars The Phantom of the Menace arc. They're just going to be presenting information and developer insight of the new Mandalore bonus zone, the Gungan faction, the Galactic Republic faction, guild gifting, Jar Jar Binks, a new raid, and the battle for Naboo. So quite a bit of stuff in here. Let's go ahead and get started with it. So the new bonus zone in TB is going to be Mandalore. They say that you're going to need to gear up. It's going to be kind of based off of the Rebels version of it. So that's where you're going to need some of the newer Mandalorian faction characters like Bo-Katan Mandalore, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, and some of the old favorites like Sabine Wren will likely make an appearance, but they haven't, decided what it's going to be. So by virtue of it kind of being a, both light side and dark side, I would assume that this is going to be somewhere in mixed territory or the mixed progression. We've already got the light side one, which is, Zepho. I would also kind of be surprised if this was just another bonus zone where you just earn a star. I highly anticipate that there's going to be something special about the zone, whether that's a character unlock or some sort of maybe relic material like relic 10 or something like that. I would think that they're going to not just have another one where you're like, hey, cool, here's some Kairos and an extra star. If they don't put that, if they don't make this zone be something special, I'll be pretty disappointed, to be honest. So yeah, if CG's watching, make sure you guys do something interesting with it. Okay, so then obviously now we have the Phantom Menace Episode 1 Battle for Naboo raid. So they're basically saying, what better way to celebrate the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary than with the iconic battle of the planet Naboo? We're excited to give you an early read-in, and this is important that it is early. So we're set to have this raid, the current one, the speeder bike raid, until about June, July-ish. That's sticking. If they stick with their 9-month timeline, that would be about when we switch over. So it's early, but they've actually done a pretty good job at getting us this information early. Like, we were working on the new Imperial Troopers requirements for a really long time. So I appreciate that they're at least coming forward and saying what the new one is, so that way at least can kind of guide us into some stuff. And then they kind of talk about what exactly we're gonna need. So obviously we're gonna need gear up our Gungans here. And then it kind of talks about one of the developers says, I enjoy making events with narrative opportunities. I can only speak for myself, I guess, but I love playing the events that have the narrative opportunities. Whether that's, CLS's or even Jedi Knight Cal's hero journey. So I'm expecting some big things out of this one. And then, yes, of course, just by him saying that, do you remember the first time you saw those battle droids unload from the transports? I do believe that we're going to be on the actual, battlefield, where the Gungans are fighting the droids. Probably have to knock out some shield generators or something like that, or defend them maybe. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if we had to defend them. Okay, so What are some of the characters and factions that may be required? Yeah, in tomorrow's video, I'll kind of go a little bit more into this, what I think it's going to be, but or some of the safer bets. But they're currently leaning towards subsets of characters found in these factions: Galactic Republic, Jedi, Separatists, and of course Gungans, right? So in the Battle of Naboo, the Gungans with Jar Jar Binks on their side will give you the best opportunity to be successful in the raid. The Gungans will be featured as a faction inside the Battle of Naboo raid, much like Jabba the Hutt was for Crate Dragon Hunt, and Leia Organa was for the Speeder Bike Pursuit raid. When we get closer to the raid launch, we'll be sure to communicate the final details so you and your guild can be prepared for action. So, what does that mean to us? In essence, so they had been kind of releasing a Galactic Legend per raid. It sounds like, for lack of a better word, the Gungans are going to be the Galactic Legend for this raid. So that's going to be a faction that you're going to need to build up quickly. Obviously, there's some probably incentives for doing so, right? For those that choose not to be to build through monetization. It's a good way for CG to also incorporate that. So makes sense. It's going to be hefty though. You have to think we're going to need the 4 characters, which are listed down here that we'll go over, plus then the legendary Jar Jar. And unless they put the Jar Jar into the journey guide the first time around or whatever, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to wait a few months, right? So there's going to be a lot of pressure to be probably building up these Gungans, if I had to guess. So the design lead for the Gungan faction, I thought that this was kind of interesting. Gungans rarely left their home planet of Naboo, and because they were exceptionally proud and protective of their home, we wanted this faction to represent that moment in Phantom Menace of them standing steady on the battlefield as a Trade Federation invasion unfolds in front of them. The Gungan team will have significant upfront power from their shield generator to defend against any would-be attackers. While much of the team works in orderly fashion, there is a member that causes a bit of disarray to the battle plans, and I think we know who that is. Obviously this is mostly speaking of the raid, but I would love if the Gungans became sort of a defensive team. We've had a lot of offensive teams recently, and just kind of based off of some of their wording here, where they don't leave their home planet, right? Like they're proud and protective of their home. I would love if they were a defensive faction. So who are the Gungans? Boss Nass, he's their leader, obviously. Captain Tarpals, he's their decisive attacker. He sets his teammates up for success and inflicts a sizable damage to the enemies. Gungan Boomadir, versatile attacker that capitalizes on enemy debuffs and ramps damage while using abilities when their shield generator is up. And Gungan Phalanx, a stout tank that is willing to assist his allies in need and provide coverage with his shield. And then all this will lead up to the new legendary unit of Jar Jar Binks, a Gungan support who isn't afraid to interject into the battle and offer his own, how should we say, brand of help, confounding the enemy. Since Jar Jar is a legendary unit, you will need the other 4 Gungans to unlock him. So they get that out of the way right off the get-go. I appreciate that. Them just saying that, hey, Gungans, these guys are going to be required. So, it's going to be marquees most likely for all these guys. It's going to be the 4 weeks until they're in the shipments, and 4 weeks after that, they will be into, farming node. So they're letting us know far in advance that that's going to be the requirements. I also think that like the confounding thing could be, I wonder if he's somewhat like a C-3PO where he just lays down some confuse as well. That would be kind of cool. But yes, of course, kit reveals and how to obtain these characters will be provided in their usual cadence, so stay tuned for more information. Now, here's another one that they're also kind of giving us a little bit of the way ahead on, and that's Queen Amidala plus the new Galactic Republic characters. Another iconic character is making her way to the holotable, Queen Amidala. She will be a future Conquest Chase character, as well as accompanied by 2 new characters for the Galactic Republic faction. While we don't have the full details ready to share on her supporting cast yet, we will say these characters are also iconic and we can't wait to tell you more about them. So if I'm just to guess, I'm guessing, obviously we get Queen Amidala. I'm going to guess Captain Panaka is the other one. The other one is sort of a weird one. I'm kind of believing like it could be Sabe. I think that's how you say her name. And that's basically her decoy. But if you kind of go down here, they've kind of talked about how there's this actual decoy that is summoned. And so that kind of leads me to believe that it's not going to be that. And they did mention Jedi. The one guy, and again, we'll kind of go over this more in detail for tomorrow's video, but the one guy that I didn't really see that's really missing in this whole thing is the Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think there's a possibility that he might be the other guy. He feels like he'd be a good legendary, but at the same time, he's very young in his career at that point. We just get to know him. He's iconic because we know what he becomes, but at the same time, we've also received, really, really iconic characters as marquees. We've received characters that only have like 10 minutes of screen time as Galactic Legends, so it really just depends on what they feel like as far as who they think is a Galactic Legend, who they think is a legendary versus who they think is marquee. So that would be sort of my two guesses. I'm thinking Captain Panaka and then Obi-Wan Kenobi. We will see though on that. Her Omicrons are going to be GAC, so that's going to be 2 GAC characters that we got back to back. But she's also going to have her raid utility. And then again, the decoy, which is a summon unit with a permanent taunt, which leads to the thematic feel for Phantom Menace and her character as the decoy sets out to protect the queen. Kind of think of, the GBA brute interaction here. The uniqueness of her kit happens when the decoy is active. Queen Amidala will gain a new status effect called Queen's Protection. And for how many stacks of Queen's Protection Queen Amidala has, she gives double of its effects to other Galactic Republic allies. Once the decoy is defeated, the Queen gets to take a bonus turn, gains a gnarly locked buff, and inflicts damage with something nasty. So very, very descriptive, but no, I kind of say that in jest. Like it's pretty cool that they're letting us know that. So here's the part that I think that is going to be the most controversial. Guild gifting, it's basically going to be a way where you can buy your guild mates some gifts, some packs, and gift it to them, right? You can select which one you want to buy a gift for. I could see them doing this as like a fun thing, like especially if you maybe have some intramural GAC matches or something like that, and you say, hey, why don't we put a pack on it? I don't really see, like they stated that this was something that a lot of people were wanting. A lot of people are requesting in a ton of surveys. I have to believe that maybe there was a miscommunication. I know that, for instance, I have said many times, look how many Zetas I have. Like if I could give you guys, some of the newer players or newer accounts, if I could give you guys Omegas or like the level 3s, I wish I could, I wish I could. That's different though than purchasing my guildmates packs. So maybe there was some miscommunication there. Maybe there really is just this big of a market for this. But this is where I think people are going to kind of deviate from what they thought was good of the road ahead versus what they thought was not so good. If this said PvP revamp or something like that, I think a lot of more people would be really, really happy. But right now, the guild gifting one was kind of a weird part. Personally, like I said, maybe some people will really like it. But anyways, that covers the road ahead. There's some final thoughts from the Galaxy Heroes teams that you guys can read. But I want to kind of wrap this video up. I'm overall excited. Listen, as a guy that loves PvP, I can't lie and say that I'm really loving the meta right now. It's a very cheese fest meta. I wish that there was a little bit of difference cadence, but luckily with Datacrons, it will change over, hopefully, sometime soon. I do want an update to GAC and TW as much as every PvP diehard out there wants it. Anything, map change, board expansion, whatever it is, like you name it, zone, zone buffs, it's something to kind of spice it up. We've been playing these same maps since like 2017 and 2018. There's got to be something that we can do, and I'm assuming that they want that too. I know it's probably a very tricky subject for them to get around, but hopefully they are working on it in the background, because we have had a lot of PvE updates, but not really anything going on the PvP side. So with that said, though, like I said, I think I'm really excited. Well, I know I'm really excited for Phantom Menace. I'm a very big prequels fan, even for all their flaws. I love that era. I love the Galactic Republic. I love the Separatists. I love Jar Jar Binks, kind of. I love that there's Gungans coming to the game. It's fun. And so for those things, I'm good with. The guild gifting thing, yeah, we'll see. But overall, I think this is a pretty awesome road ahead just for the amount of stuff that we know we're going to be getting. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts, and thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.